Welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. I'm Adam Gold. Hope all is well. Night 2, countdown to puck drop, part 2, as we get you ready for the Hurricanes preseason opener against the Tampa Bay Lightning coming up on Monday at Lenovo Center. And hope all is well in your world. We're going to talk goaltending, but we're also going to talk about one other thing that is very intriguing that I was alerted to earlier this evening. But first, a reminder that we are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannon and his crew do a great job. And as I said yesterday, you're going to be out here in, 3-4 weeks doing a whole bunch of stuff out here at the ranch. So encourage you to check out the Aluminum Company for all of your home improvement exterior needs, whatever that didn't really make a lot of sense in terms of a sentence structure. All right. Let me just ask the question, and then we're going to get into a quick other topic. The question tonight will be, do the Hurricanes have enough goaltending, good enough goaltending, to win the Stanley Cup? Simple question, complicated answer, and we will get to it. But before we do that, let me alert you to something that I was alerted to by my guy Ben earlier tonight, who sent me a tweet from Michael Russo from The Athletic. This is not Michael's, he mostly covers the Wild, but and this would make sense, but also is a hockey writer for The Athletic at large. And this comes from bookies.com. No clue what bookies.com is, but I do know who Michael Russo is. Kirill Kaprizov, who recently, it was revealed, turned down 8 years, $16 million per year offered from the Minnesota Wild. And from bookies.com, Michael Russo tweets, Kirill Kaprizov, next team odds. And right there at the very top, the Carolina Hurricanes. That's right. Right there at the very top. Plus 400. According to those odds, a 20% chance that Kirill Kaprizov will become the next team will be the Carolina Hurricanes. It is foolish to get into what Carolina would have to give up to Minnesota in order to get Kirill Kaprizov. Also, we have no idea how this is going to work, how it would ever work, whether or not Minnesota would just say, well, we can't let him leave for nothing, so we got to trade him, or are they going to try and sign him before the end of the season? What an absolute fool's errand this is. But let me just offer one or two very broad thoughts on Kaprizov. Does Carolina have interest in a superstar? And the answer is yes. Does Kaprizov qualify as a superstar? Unequivocally, the answer is yes. At $16 million per, could Carolina afford a player like Kirill Kaprizov? Yeah, they could. Cap's going up. Look, Carolina looks to be pretty cost controlled. There are certainly monies that they could unload to even create more room. But here is where I stop short of Kirill Kaprizov is the guy. And again, this isn't about acquisition cost. For me, it's not about acquisition cost. It's about, if Carolina is going to invest $16 million a year in a player, I'm not saying he's got to be better than Kirill Kaprizov, but that number is going to be a center, or it's going to be named McDavid. And I don't think that's happening either. And actually, those would qualify together, right? Because McDavid is a center. And I know, look, Kaprizov is one of those offensive performers. Can I close my eyes and see him as a Hurricane? No. Doesn't mean, like, I didn't know that the Hurricanes would be interested in Rantanen. Gensel made more sense. I just don't see Kaprizov being that guy. And again, it's not about opportunity cost in terms of acquisition. It's not about what do you give up. I mean, to get a player dynamically offensive like that, you pretty much give up anything. But what Minnesota would want, I mean, honestly, it would start with Jarvis, to be perfectly honest. I think it would absolutely start with Jarvis and then other things. And I'm not saying you wouldn't give up. Like, I love Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis for Kirill Kaprizov, you do it. And I love Seth. You would do that. I don't see the Hurricanes doing that, on top of the fact that, because the organization does want to win all the time, not just occasionally. Is Kirill Kaprizov more than twice as good as Seth Jarvis? No. But that's what Kaprizov makes. So that's two players. And I just I have a hard time seeing that happening. So with that said, I think it's all fun, but I'm going to leave that one alone. So fun to think about, fun to joke around, have a beer over, but I don't think it's happening. Now, let us get to the reason we're here. And to answer the question, do the Hurricanes have good enough goaltending to win a Stanley Cup? So I will answer that question very simply. The answer, yes, they do. And I know people are going to go, what are you talking about? Freddie, Piotr, blah. I know it's going to sound weird, but if you go back over the last decade, the last 10 Stanley Cup champions, only 2 of the goaltenders that have won are headed to the Hall of Fame, or would be considered one of those. Sergei Bobrovsky, Andrei Vasilevsky. Everybody else is basically goalie of the moment. Adin Hill is good. Very good. Good goalie. Adin Hill isn't better than Freddie Andersen. Darcy Kuemper, Stanley Cup champion. Jordan Binnington, all over the place. Certainly has a high end. But Braden Holtby, actually, it was the end of a pretty good stretch, and he faded away after that. But between Hill and Kuemper and Binnington, Holtby's probably the best. And Matt Murray won the 2 prior. Or at least it was a share with Marc-Andre Fleury in one of those years. But it was basically Matt Murray. So we have this fascination with we need better goaltending. I don't know you're going to find better goaltending than Freddie Andersen. And we're going to leave Pyotr Kochetkov just on the side here for a sec. There's a reason the Hurricanes went and signed him, Freddie, to the 1-year contract extension before last season ended, because they knew that they were going to be looking for a free agent goalie. And if Freddie went free agency, he would have been the best goalie on the free agent market. The trick for Andersen is just making sure that he is available. When available, Freddie Andersen has been, should be more than good enough to win a Stanley Cup. And here is where I maybe depart from a lot of people when I say Rarely has goaltending held Carolina back in the postseason. I know we have this impression that it does at times, but I don't believe it has. The number one reason why Carolina has failed to advance in the postseason has been goal scoring, not goal prevention. Have there been bad games? Of course there have been bad games. But there isn't a time. Yes, did they lose to the Rangers in game 6 when Freddie melted down, right? In 20, what was it, 23? Whatever the year was. All the years run together. When they had the lead and then all of a sudden Freddie gave up 3 goals. Yeah, that's true. Right? It was a meltdown. But they lost that series because they couldn't contain the Rangers' power play, got off to a bad start, got back in it, and then it just kind of melted down. But Freddie Andersen hasn't prevented the Hurricanes from advancing in the playoffs. And if you go back and you look at the Florida series in 23, the year Florida got to the Cup final but lost to Vegas, Freddie was amazing, and you could argue that the Hurricanes wasted Andersen's performance in those playoffs. And statistically speaking, the Hurricanes, it basically proves it out. Sergei Bobrovsky's numbers from this past playoff season. And nobody's arguing that Bobrovsky is not great, and I'm not suggesting for a second that Bobrovsky isn't better than Andersen. But Bobrovsky's numbers in the postseason of .914 save percentage, .220 goals against average, they're not Andrei Vasilevsky from those 2 cup runs. What Andrei Vasilevsky did when the Lightning won 2 in a row, a combined .932 with a .190 goals against average, and nearly 35 goals saved above average total in those 2 seasons, is like from a different planet. Bobrovsky wasn't that good. Even 2 years ago, Florida's first run, Bob's numbers were pedestrian in the playoffs. .906 save percentage, .232 goals against, 1.4 goals saved above average. That's just okay. What you need is goaltenders to not lose you games, right? You don't want to be the reason a loss is on the board. These series are all tight. But ultimately, you just have to be solid because you're going to win or lose based on the goals you score. And to me, again, that's been Carolina's Achilles. I think we all agree there. Who's getting the goal? Can you get the power play cranked up? Because that's really been the problem for Carolina in the playoffs, is getting that goal. And it speaks to a lot of the things that we have been talking about for years, but it's not specific to goaltending. And when I hear people say we need a top 10 goalie, you kind of got one. And his name is Frederik Andersen, because he is still, when healthy, he is still an excellent goaltender. Now, let me spend a couple of minutes on Pyotr Kochetkov, who, hard to describe, right? Because Pyotr, when right, probably has a higher ceiling than Andersen. The problem with Pyotr is getting him right and keeping him right. I think he loses concentration within games. I think he probably overthinks. He's certainly excitable. And I don't think you want to get some of that out of him. I think you want to use it. But we have seen Kochetkov, even for long stretches, not just a couple of years ago, but the first year he really emerged, where he played about 2.5 months of exceptional hockey. Let's not forget, he was what, 4th in Calder voting his rookie season? He had a long, long run of excellent play. But ultimately, he's got to sustain that throughout the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs, and he's got to make the head coach believe that he can trust him. And to this point, Pyotr Kochetkov has not instilled that trust, has not necessarily earned that trust from the head coach. But he'll get plenty of opportunities this year. He'll play, 35, maybe 40 games. I think Andersen will play 35, maybe 40 games given health. You'll see Caden Primo get some starts. But Kochetkov will have his opportunity this year to earn a spot in the playoff lineup. The best case scenario for Carolina would be Andersen and Kochetkov have healthy seasons, get the best out of each other, and then we see what happens in the postseason. The worst case scenario is Andersen gets hurt, Kochetkov doesn't become what the Hurricanes need him to be, and then all bets are off because Caden Primo, primarily a minor league goalie, third goalie at best, and the two prospects you have, to whatever extent they are, Ruslan Kazayev, who apparently did very well at the rookie showcase, but still not close to being NHL ready, and the guy drafted, Simeon Frolov. These guys aren't ready. It's years away. So if Andersen can't stay healthy, or if his play drops off, if Kochetkov can't get up to being a consistently good, reliable goaltender, then the Hurricanes are going to have to go out and find one. Otherwise, it will be a problem. But given what we know from last year to now, if you told me that I was going to get exactly what Freddie Andersen gave us in the playoffs, and for a good chunk of when he came back, got off to a slow start and then started to find his game. If you told me that Andersen would give us that, I'd tell you that Carolina would have a chance as long as the other things all came together. The goal scoring and all the other things that we are going to talk about between now and the start of the preseason on Monday. So for me, the answer, does Carolina have good enough goaltending? Yes, they do. They do. Because you can't convince me that Aiden Hill, Darcy Kemper, Jordan Bennington, Braden Holtby, Matt Murray times 2 are automatically better than what you can get out of Freddie Andersen, especially the way Carolina plays. Anyway, enjoy the thoughts of Kirill Kaprizov. Isn't that a fun way to start off your, what is this, Tuesday night? We'll do this again tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow with another question, another topic. I know a lot of you have been sending me stuff you want to hear. We've got 5 more of these before the preseason opener on Monday night against Tampa Bay Lightning. I am Adam Gold. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out. See it there on the screen, aluminumcompany.com. Until tomorrow, same time, 10 o'clock, right here on the YouTubes. I'm Adam Gold. Good night.